Hey, what up, crew? This is a bit of a test stream, so you'll have to forgive me if stuff just generally doesn't work while I figure out levels and stuff like that. How's the volume coming through? Cool. So what I wanted to do is I found this book at my work, and I figured that it might be a fun thing to do to just sort of read through a handful of these studies. They're not super complicated. They're enough that they'd be entertaining to read through without being overly taxing. So I'm going to have a go through some of these while people hang out, ask questions, whatever. And I got the idea from watching a little stream by 8-Bit Brigadier, where he was talking through a lot of his practice techniques as he was actually working on things. And I thought, that's probably going to be incredibly useful, because I still find when I'm practicing myself, I kind of get stuck into the same routine of just repeating things without thinking about what I should logically be doing to actually get better at something. So I think talking through what you're actually doing and justifying things to yourself and to your viewers constantly is probably going to actually make for some pretty good practice, even with breaks to talk about that stuff. So it's been a few days since I've done any clarinet work. Work has been pretty full on. So I might start looking through just a handful of these to try and get back some degree of decent sound. Let's read something. Hey, Flavian. So this is study number 7 from the legato section of the Demnitz Elementary School for Clarinet. Let's here we go. Hey, how you going, Instant Train? Good to see you. So the other thing that I can do with this session is it's a nice little excuse to break in some other reeds. For anybody that doesn't play reed instruments, reeds are the absolute worst. And, well, at least I don't have to make them. Thank you. I mean, double reed players have it much worse, of course, but we still have to try everything out. Most of the reeds in a box aren't good for anything. So we just need to go through the long process of finding ones that work and then slowly breaking them in over the course of several days so that they'll kind of stay stable if you had to record or perform on them. Spider-Man pizza theme. That meme passed me by. I'd like to think I'm pretty memetically cultured, but that's one that I just kind of didn't get. Have I thought about covering anything from Wandersong? No, I haven't, because I haven't played it yet, but from what I've seen, it kind of looks all my kind of thing. I mean, isn't it largely just about helping people through music? That sounds like a pretty nice thing to be in games. Yeah, I've seen a few nice reviews of it. So yeah, I'm definitely tempted. Probably pick it up on a Steam sale or something like that. Yeah, the reed vibrates whatever frequency you're producing a note at, but there's also vibrations being transferred into the instrument itself. Acoustics is complex. I don't understand all of it, but the resonating chamber, the thing that's actually creating the pitch of the note, doesn't just happen in the instrument itself. It's also inside you. It kind of starts like roughly around your throat and continues there. If you kind of imagine an ocarina, the way that shape inside an ocarina isn't just a tube, it's kind of like that in clarinet as well. Like it doesn't end here. It's part of you, which I think is pretty interesting. All right, let's read something else. Okay, there's a section in this manual of just scale studies. So flipping open to the first one in C major, let's have a jump through of that, shall we? Hello, Brainflakes. Thanks for joining us. No, they don't have reeds, and that's one of the things that makes me love the Iwi. So for anyone that's just joined us, what I'm doing is just having a bit of a sight read through this book I found in the shop the other day, the Demnitz Elementary School for Clarinet. It's basically just a set of exercises going through a bunch of staccato studies, legato studies, a whole bunch of different scale studies. And what I just played there was the first scale study in C major. Eventually, they're going to get to a point where I probably won't be able to successfully sight read them perfectly. So at that point, I might switch to talking a bit more about how to actually go about practicing this, or at least how I go about practicing this stuff. Yeah, so why don't we jump ahead a little bit. This next one is in A flat major, and I can guarantee you at the end of a long day, this is probably where I'm going to start making note mistakes. Yeah, I mean, I've also played a bit of saxophone instant train, so I've taught it and done it in occasional musicals when I've had to. I, for a while, specialized as a bass clarinetist, but once I started doing more iwi work, the clarinet work I was doing just sort of fell by the wayside a little bit because the iwi is just so much more fun to play. You don't have to worry about reeds, you don't have to worry about intonation. So I naturally sort of headed a lot more in that direction. But now that I'm doing more video game music work with a lot of other friends there, I'm finding my way back to it a lot more. Blueberry Kodiak, you should definitely upload what you're doing with it. I think it's a lot easier now to start on the iwi because there's so many more resources that people have made for it. And it tongues differently to other reed instruments. Like if you hit the tip of the iwi with your tongue, you get this really, really harsh attack. Maybe a bit later I'll plug it in and show you. And that's normally how you would tongue on any reed instrument. If you do it on the iwi, the attack just sounds really sort of awful. So I do a kind of recorder-like palate tonguing on it. I haven't played oboe. I would love to try that stuff out, though there are quite a few specialists already on YouTube that I can't compete with. All right, let me have a go with this A-flat major study. Almost. That second last bar. The second last bar. There we go. Hello, legends of nostalgia. Thanks for joining us. And yeah, it is morning. It's 2:15 a.m. in Australia at the moment where I am. Oboe and bassoon do seem difficult to play. If only because there's so much more to worry about with reeds, but I think every instrument has its own idiosyncratic problems. The iwi probably has fewer problems than other reed instruments or wind instruments, but it's still got occasional things that are a little bit trickier for whatever reason. I like the idea of a free jazz part of my career. Actually, if anything, I think I'm probably going in the opposite direction. Like when I was much younger, I was much more interested in improvisation and like weird esoteric music and stuff that, you know, had more extended techniques on the instruments and that kind of thing. I feel like it's a phase that I sort of grew out of a little bit, and as I've grown older, a lot of my tastes have kind of become more conservative. I'm more into just straight up romantic classical Baroque music, less contemporary classical. I still appreciate the artistry in it, it's just a field I'm less into. Classical music or VGM? Good question. I don't know. I think sometimes it's hard to draw a distinction between these things. At work, I've got this interesting setup. Like, while my bosses are there, we have classical radio going. So I'm getting like constant classical stuff at work. And then towards the afternoon, when I'm more by myself, that's when I'm playing through people's VGM playlists and albums and that kind of thing. Incidentally, if anybody wants to send me suggestions for albums that I can listen to at work, especially chilled out ones that would be good for a music shop. I definitely want more suggestions for that. Yeah, it actually can be both. The one that I've got, look, I mean, I'm going to get a lot of iwi questions, so maybe I'll try one of these studies on iwi, just so you can sort of see what's going on. We plugged in? Yeah, let me jump on iwi for a bit. So this one uses batteries. They're down there. It takes 4 AA. The newer ones use a rechargeable battery pack. I think it took a while to get to that point, but man, that's an improvement. All right, let's find something to read on this, because I'm probably not as solid a sight reader on iwi as I am on Clarinet. Okay, can you guys hear that okay? Oh, no worries. I'm very happy to have questions here. It really gives a nice little structure to this between pieces, I think. Okay, I'll play you a little piece on iwi now. Maybe I can just turn my amplifier up a smidge. It's a pretty basic amp, and I don't want to overdrive it though, so we'll see what happens. All right. So this is from the same set of studies. This is just another Demnitz study. There you go. Yeah, sure, drop in and out as you need to. Crackle on audio. Huh. Are other people experiencing that? Ticking. Maybe if I just reset the microphone, that might fix it. Hope so. Still there? Ticking. Ticking. Why would it be ticking? It could be my computer fan. That would be my guess. Let me see if I can just turn that bad boy down, see if it makes any difference. Maybe. Probably won't be much. But also, if there's feedback from the amp, that could be another thing. That won't be so much of an issue if I go back on clarinet. So, hoping it's better now after changing some stuff. Did that do anything? Yeah. Okay, so back to clarinet. Okay, I'll see if I can chase that up. I'll have a listen once this goes live after I'm done with it. I'm not going to hang around for a huge amount of time tonight, maybe just like another maybe 10, 20 minutes. We'll see how we go. We'll have a look at another few of these. So yeah, maybe I'll jump into another one of these now. Here's something else that's a bit more lyrical. I find that if I haven't been playing for a few days, as soon as I come back to it, the things that I lose are my staccato control, my tone quality, and my intonation. So at least, hopefully, I can get some tone quality back before tomorrow. Would I play some Bach? You know what? I reckon I can find some Bach somewhere for you today if you hang around for it. Maybe I'll finish up with that. Anyway, let's try another little Demnitz study, shall we? There you go. Yeah, Sam's kind of a de facto icon of the VGM cover community, isn't he? Yeah, I think it's a really nice book. Thanks, man. Yeah, I didn't expect to get this many viewers on this. I'm really glad that people have turned out. So I know I have an issue with some of my audio drivers that cause problems when I'm recording. That could be where a tick is coming from. So yeah, let me know if that's still in there. Are people still hearing like occasional clicking? Because that could be something I can fix with an audio driver. I'll check it out after this stream. All-time favorite game soundtracks. Good question. There's a few that I keep coming back to. I don't want to, say that one is necessarily the best, because I don't think that I can really rank them objectively like that. But I keep listening to a lot of Breath of the Wild, a lot of Night in the Woods. They constantly have sort of in my playlist. Recently, I've been listening to a lot more Cuphead as well. That kind of never goes out of fashion. Yeah, Celeste as well. I mean, that's just another constant one in rotation for me. There's so much thought and care that's been put into that soundtrack. I haven't played the Xenoblade games, but I have listened to their soundtracks a little bit, mostly as they come up through VGM covers. And no, I haven't heard the Messenger OST yet, but I'm really impressed with what they're doing with gameplay devices. I haven't played it either, but there's just a video I watched by Snowman Gaming where he talked about some of its design decisions, and it looks incredible. So maybe I'll pick something a little bit more sprightly, something that might be more hazard-prone. Here's a little study in D major. So I might see if I can find some Bach somewhere in here for No One Shall Know My Name. Thanks, guys. You're very kind. Yeah, so I mean, I have heaps of stuff. If you can see part of my room, I've got bits and pieces lying around everywhere. Mainly when I work in a secondhand sheet music shop, I take home lots of stuff all the time. So yeah, let me have a quick look on my shelves for some Bach. I'll be right back. I reckon there's probably a movement of the flute partita that I could bluff my way through. Is what a backpack. That thing back there, that's my clarinet case. This is another chair that's sort of in the way. But yeah, I've just got clarinet cases kind of strewed everywhere at the moment. Yeah, so I might go back to that first read again, since I'll need something a little bit cleaner. So I think I'll finish up with something now. I'll play you, well, I'll try to play you the Saraband from the Bach A minor flute partita. Which I have performed quite a few years ago now, but very doubtful that any of it's going to be under my fingers anymore, so forgive any sloppiness. Also, I can see I'm kind of turning red because there's no air conditioner in here. I imagine that would add even more noise to this. So I'll probably be very red by the end of this, because we're heading into Australian summer. Thank you, Croinstall. I'm so glad that you're enjoying it. All right, here we go. Bach Saraband from the A minor flute partita. Oof, that is tricky to jump straight into after not playing clarinet for a few days, I have to be honest. It's really sort of pushing me in a few ways, but yeah, nice suggestion. I'm glad I could play it for you. I haven't done any of these sort of live streams before. This is the very first one, so I'm just testing out the concept now. And if you guys seem to like this, I'd be happy to do this regularly, because I think it's a pretty fun way of just getting a little bit of extra sight reading in, maybe playing some requests. Maybe somewhere down the line I could do some VGM stuff, but the reason I'm doing more classical stuff is because there's so much more work involved in rigging up something where I can actually perform VGM stuff. I mean, I can play through unaccompanied things, of course, but to actually sync something up with a backing track or something like that is a much bigger operation. However, I do still have some backing tracks I made for a live VGM concert earlier this year, so I could probably play them through something else and still play that. So that would work. Yeah, I could definitely do that. Great. So I don't know, maybe I'll pick one more little study from somewhere to have a read through, and then I'll call it a day. Thank you so much for everybody that's turned up for this. I really appreciate people showing up to have a listen. Okay, this looks interesting. Like I said, my reading is probably going to go downhill. For anybody that's joined us a bit later, what I'm doing is just sort of having a read through for the first time some of these Demnitz studies that I picked up from work. I haven't seen Donut Drums do much stuff recently. I know he was still releasing a few custom drum products and that kind of thing. If anybody follows on Twitch and can answer that, just I haven't seen him. I don't do really anything on Twitch. Okay, so this is a G minor Demnitz study. Let's have a go. There you go. So I might leave it there, have a listen back, investigate anything that's going on weird with audio. But thank you so much for tuning in for this little session. I'm so glad that I got 14 viewers. Wow, that is impressive for a first stream. Thanks so much for coming. I'll probably make this a bit of a regular thing now. I'll catch you around.